can feel it down in my plums. When I hear a sound, a rap at the door, my young son Gabriel walks in.
Welcome back to Let the Boys Watch, an entertainment podcast brought to you by Going Gray Productions. I'm one of your hosts, my name is Robbie. And on this week's episode, it was Denis Villeneuve week. And the winner of this week's poll was the 2016 sci-fi drama Arrival, written by Eric Heiserer, based off the short story The Story of Your Life by Ted Chiang, directed by Denis Villeneuve. Arrival stars Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, Forrest Whitaker, and Michael Stuhlbarg. Alongside me is the cousin Benny. How are we doing today?
Doing good. I really don't have a way to come back for this week, so I'll just say that I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Fantastic. I've arrived.
Love to hear it. Love to hear
it. And alongside the cuz and myself is our good friend and one of our co-hosts, Ryan. Ryan, how are you doing?
All right. I also don't have any witty comments. Not a lot of
not a lot
comedy
of wit this
in
week.
This film. What's that?
A lot of wit this week in this film.
I mean, listen, I'm not that witty anyway, so.
Except for Forrest Whitaker's lazy eye. That's really it.
Oh, I love Forrest Whitaker, but yes, he does. I know. Was his accent like weird in this film?
The worst Boston accent I've ever heard. Like, you couldn't even tell it was a Boston accent except for some words. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's supposed to be a Boston accent? I was like, all right. Because when he came in hot. Well, we'll get to it later.
Sorry. We get excited. So, like Robbie said, this is Let the Boys Watch. And we watch movies that typically one or all of us haven't seen, come up with a theme. We did this week, like Robbie said, and I think we're all going to pronounce it different. I thought it was Denis Villeneuve, but I don't know. I have no idea.
I had to go. Sorry, I had to go on YouTube to see him get introduced in some things. So I think I got it right. If not, hey, I'm not French.
No.
And you guys gave up in World War II, so don't talk to me about anything.
So I think he was on our minds because Dune 2 came out on HBO. That's what I mean. That's probably why we were thinking of him. And there's a number of films that all of us haven't seen. So we put it up for a vote on Instagram, which if you're not following us there, please do so. It's in the show notes. We do a poll every Friday, and it was Arrival, Prisoners, and Sicario, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Arrival won, I wouldn't say handily, but pretty handily, pretty decent. I didn't realize, I actually thought it was be Sicario, but whatever. So follow us there to get involved in the votes. Send us an email. We do have one email this week, which is awesome. We'll get to that later. That's also in the show notes, ltbwpodcast@gmail.com. And while you're doing all these things, besides following us on your podcast platform, please, Benny, tell them where else they can follow us and get involved.
Yeah, do us a favor. Follow, subscribe on YouTube. It costs you nothing. It would make us very happy. When you see a new video pop up, like it, mute it, leave it running in the background. Let us get some watch hours, or watch us and listen to us for an hour and a half. Look at how handsome Robbie looks. Look at how handsome Ryan looks. I mean, come on, you're missing out if you're not following us on YouTube. So do it.
Talking about us being handsome, that haircut is.
Please.
My goodness.
Please.
It's beautiful.
I'm glad the camera cuts off here because, my goodness.
I saw the microphone come up. I think the desk is getting risen up.
Yeah. So, we again watch movies that one or all of us haven't seen. Come up with themes. Let us know if you have ideas on themes, or specific movies you want us to watch, or respond to the movie that we're watching this week or any of the other weeks that we've done it. We got a ton in the tank right now. So, thanks for all the support. We appreciate it. I guess let's get into it. Who hasn't seen Arrival? Just Benny? Okay. So
Wow,
Benny, what'd you think going into this? What were your thoughts?
So none. I haven't seen, and I don't think I've seen any Denis Villeneuve movies. So I really didn't know what to expect going in. I've heard it kind of mentioned in some emails we've had on the podcast. Yeah, so I was excited because anytime, we get recommendations from our friends, our family, our listeners, you know, uh I seem to think that they know what they're talking about. And yeah, so I was excited for this. Um didn't know anything about it except coincidentally a few weeks ago I was scrolling through YouTube and was watching a Neil deGrasse Tyson ranks sci-fi movies, and this was one of them, and I'm pretty sure he gave it a high grade, I think either a B or an A. Um, but there was so much going on. The only thing I knew that there was language involved with it. But other than that, knew nothing about it. And I take his recommendation and our listeners' recommendations highly. So I was excited for it.
Nice. Um, yeah, I mean, I hadn't seen it I think I saw it once, like when it first came out, not in the theater, but on cable or, DVD or something like that. So I didn't remember like anything. So I'm glad at first I did not want to watch this again. I'll get to that later why. Um, but I'm glad this one. It was enjoyable. Robbie, what about you? How long has it been since you've seen it?
About like 3 or 4 years, I think. Um, so I voted for Prisoners because I wanted Prisoners to win. I
Same.
didn't see Prisoners, so I saw Sicario and Arrival, and I love Sicario. And I haven't watched a lot of uh Denny, I guess we'll call him on a first name basis. I know my Bill is a huge fan and sees all of his movies. He's always telling me to watch Blade Runner, but I don't feel like watching the first one, so um I don't want to watch that. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I kind of forgot the story. So I was surprised again. I don't want to say, I guess when the twist happened, I was pretty surprised at how it happened, and I don't know, I just enjoyed this movie. I mean, I I don't know if I'll get my overall impression or anything like that, but I mean, the way it was shot was absolutely fantastic, phenomenal. I mean, the set pieces, it was beautiful. The sound editing was great. The score was great. I mean, it was a movie that basically didn't have any action, but was very suspenseful, I feel like, in a lot of scenes. And I just love the overall theme of it. I mean, I think it hit me a little bit harder the second time around than it did the first time. I don't know, maybe it was a second viewing that I needed to watch to fully grasp everything. But I don't know. I did want Prisoners, like I said, to win, but I'm glad this one won.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same exact way. Like I wanted Prisoners to win because I never saw it, and but I am glad that this one. So,
Plus,
um,
our boy was in Prisoners, so
oh
anytime is a Dano, it's fucking
Oh, Dana was in Prisoners?
yeah,
yeah,
I should have voted for Prisoners.
Benny, fuck this again.
of course.
I should have called off the dogs.
Um,
It is an election year too, so we know the chicanery that's going on.
that's right. Um, Robbie, do you want to? You kind of like dipped your toe into it a little bit. Do you want to keep going with some overall impressions, or you want one of us to
Yeah,
go?
I can
Yeah,
quickly dip it in. I
yeah, go
mean,
ahead, jump
it's a
right in, babe.
little too cold. Hopefully the Pisha doesn't shrivel up, but we're ready to jump in. Um, no, I mean, blessings to Best Buy and the television that I got because I mean, unbelievable picture on picture with this movie. I loved it. Again, I love a movie that makes you think, especially afterwards. What would you do? How would you react? So, I mean, this movie has a great message at the end, a nice theme to it. I just love that you don't need, again, that you didn't need action to to not be scared, but again, to have that suspense, to be on the edge of your seat. And this movie did it for me. Um, Again, like I saw it a couple of years ago, but I forgot a lot of the scenes and I forgot a lot of what was going on. So again, like there were some things where I didn't remember and didn't know what was going on. So I was on the edge of my seat. And the score, little menacing score, I loved it. I mean, it played well with the movie. The landscape, I mean, even flying with the helicopters or arriving to the site where the hectopod, whatever it was, is there. I mean, beautiful. Acting top notch. Not a lot of actors and actresses in this movie, but the people that were the main players just brought their A games. I loved it. I mean, I don't know if I had anybody that I really hated. It was tough to pick a least favorite actor, but I mean, it was just beautiful. It was just a beautifully shot movie. I loved the overall theme of the movie. I just loved the message, and I thought everybody brought their again, like I said, everybody brought their A game, and I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
Nice. Benny?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. And this is a movie where I had one score when I finished the movie, and then by the time we started recording today, I have another score. Um, it there were the first maybe hour and 20 minutes of this movie. I was like, okay, it's good. I understand what they're doing. It looks really good. Like Robbie mentioned, the sound was awesome. I really got my money's worth with the surround sound on this movie. I went in. I'm not a big Jeremy Renner guy, so I was kind of bummed with him in it. And then once the like you mentioned, that twist hit and everything made sense, I was like, wow, this is a cool way to do this genre. It's a cool, I don't want to step on Brian's email too much, but just how, especially now with all the multiverse and timelines that are in movies these days, this was done so well. And it, like Robbie said, really makes you think. And that question that you're left with at the end of the movie almost supersedes the whole like events of the movie. Like you're more thinking about that question at the end of the movie than like how cool all like the language stuff was. And even though super far-fetched that they could decode that language that quickly, whatever. But it was just very good, very well done. I'm really interested to watch some more of Danny Villeneuve's movies. Yeah, I was left really appreciating this movie, and it was definitely worth the time. And like Robbie mentioned, I think, or Ryan, it might have been you watching this movie. Like I immediately wanted to watch the movie again, even though I don't think there's too many Easter eggs that you're not going to catch. Like you kind of think you can think back on all the things. You're like, oh, that makes sense now why they did that and that and that. But fully understanding that and watching it a second time, I think you get a lot out of the movie. So I enjoyed this movie a lot, and I think they did a really good job with it.
Yeah. I mean, I mostly agree with you guys. And when this won, I was like, ugh, I don't want to watch this. Because when I
Me
watched
too.
it the first time in 2013, I didn't really enjoy it. And I I tried to figure out like why, because I did enjoy it this time. Um, I don't know. Maybe I just was not in the right headspace for it, or I mean, I'm still stupid, but I was pretty stupid back then. Maybe I was drunk or something watching it. I have no idea. But all I remember is just being kind of like I liked it. I remember liking, like Robbie brought up and Benny brought up, the cinematography, and like it looks beautiful. But just at the end, it was just kind of like, nah, like kind of bored. Um, but watching it this time, going in, I forgot a lot of it and just had that feeling of like, like I'm not gonna enjoy this. I'm gonna have to like really, just power through this because it's gonna be boring. But the beginning, the first, I would maybe first act, probably, I would say like I got into it. Like again, the cinematography, the sound, the acting, everything that's going on, and them kind of just figuring stuff out, going on the ship and all that stuff. And I was like really into it. And then for just like Benny, for a little bit, I was like, all right, like, come on, let's like I get it. They're figuring out the language, let's go. But then the third act and like the reveal, and then kind of thinking about it and looking back, and then of course projecting my own life into this and thinking about the questions that it asks, thinking about what I would do and all that stuff. Like I ended up like overall really loving it. I think where my score will reflect what I think about it is, I don't know if now I need to see it a third time. Like I do think two times is perfect. So Benny, I would encourage you to watch it a second time because there's stuff that you pick up on because you already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think I'm done with this. Like I really, really liked it, but I don't really care to watch it again, to be honest.
Fair.
But yeah, great film. Loved it. Glad we
Do you
watched it.
want to tell us something? I feel like because the movie came out in 2016, you said you saw it in 2013.
Oh, I
How?
thought 2013. Well, because I
Okay,
learned that
tell us.
language and I could time is just it's non-linear for me. I can just say, I mean, I got the shirt on, the spin, whatever.
I always knew it. I always knew that about you.
2016. I apologize. Thank you,
Can't
Robbie.
believe.
You see, you always keeping me honest. I love it.
Well, I messed up. When did I mess up? A couple weeks ago, when I did 2002 movie, and it was
Yeah.
2023. So Benny hooked me up. So I just thought you wanted to tell us something about some time travel and stuff you've been doing lately. So
Dude, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we'll get into this, but like, would you even want to be able to do that? I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah, let's save it
Yeah,
because
let's
we'll
save
definitely
it.
get into that.
So let's do some scores and then we'll get to Brian's email and then do some segments. So does anyone want to go first with their score?
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
So like I mentioned, when I finished the movie, I was on a 7.9. And like I said, the more I thought about it, I came up a lot and I ended up with an 8.5 on this one, just because, like you said, it made you think, it made you want to watch it again. It tied everything together so well. And, it made me interested in, I won't keep butchering his name, but just say that I'm so interested in this director's work and to see more movies that he's done. So yeah, solid movie with a lot of opportunities to mess up things that a lot of sci-fi movies make corny or a little too far-fetched or a little too, like you think about Interstellar, where you kind of have to have like a hefty knowledge in some like deep space stuff that not everybody has. And you're gonna be like, that really doesn't make sense. You didn't really need that with this movie. They did a good job explaining it, and it wasn't too much of a um, heavy lift for just the average viewer, I feel like. So yeah, I think they did a really good job with this one. And has he done? I mean, I guess you can call Dune sci-fi. I guess has he done
Dune
any other?
sci-fi.
Has he done besides Dune any other sci-fi stuff? Because I feel like this is like right up his alley.
I mean, Blade Runner 2049 is
Okay.
sci-fi, and that's I mean, Brian mentions it in an email, so we'll maybe save the conversation on that. But yeah, no, he's like just reading up about like this film. He had a lot of he had this expert on to make sure like things would make sense. I mean, science is ever evolving, so the theories may change or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I agree with you. Sci-fi is on point. Um, so I mentioned it before, like I really enjoyed this film, and I'm kind of right there with you, Benny, like in that realm of the eights. But I think it loses a little bit for me in that, like I said before, I don't think I need to watch it again. Maybe in like 5, 10 years, or if I go back in time to 2013, I can watch it then.
nice. Yeah, please.
um, but like I think 2 times is like optimal. I don't know if I need to watch it a third time anytime soon. And as we know, rewatchability is a big factor for me. So I'm gonna go 8.4. Again, I really really enjoyed watching this film. I'm glad it won. And I hope we do, more of his works in the near future because I think you guys are right. Like I've seen a couple of his movies, but there's a few that I haven't seen, like Prisoners or there's one or two. I mean, Dune 1 was, I don't know about Dune 2, we'll see.
You ever see Incendies?
No, I want to watch that too.
Yeah, me too. I heard that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe the next round we'll do like Incendies. I know you guys maybe it's tough to watch a sequel, but I don't think you have to watch the first one of Blade Runner and Prisoners or something. I don't know.
Plus, it's got Goss and Harrison Ford in it, so forget about it.
Just, I mean, make sure you're wearing some loose pants when you watch that movie.
Oh, please. Uh, yeah, for me, I think this movie hits everything that I love. Great cinematography, great score, good story, something that makes you think well beyond the closing credits, which I do love. There's something that I love more than either closing out a show or a movie and immediately just hitting the internet and reading up on things. I love stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I did enjoy Sicario. I think that was the only other movie I saw his, and I did love that. But I don't know, just again, I'm not going to keep on saying what I've said in the beginning about the overall theme of the movie and everything about it, just the way it was shot, the acting performances, what it made me think about during the movie, the emotions that the various different emotions that went through me when I was watching this movie, and then what happened after the movie was over, thinking about certain things, and it hit all the right notes. I think with Interstellar, it was just something that I wasn't smart enough to grasp. Where here, it's not. It's almost like they're holding your hand through it. Where Interstellar just, which is a great movie, but it's just like way too much in the moment. I think like that. I think Interstellar. I think I need to watch it 10 more times to finally grasp what the hell was going on with that thing. With you, Ryan, like, yeah, I think I'm okay now. I think I'm done. Maybe in 5 years from now, who knows? But I get it. I love it, and I was struggling with it. I wanted to go in like low nines, but I settled at an 8.8. Just a lot of things that I really like about movies were in this movie for me. So that's why I ended up with the 8.8s.
Just a quick point on Interstellar too. I don't. You could watch Interstellar 50 more times, and I don't think you would. If you would have to watch like an explainer and then go back and watch it, because you're not, like you said with this movie where it kind of explains it to you. Like they in Interstellar, they gloss over some things quickly, and you're like, okay, high gravity, time dilates. But then like the whole Tesseract thing with like being in like actually being in 4D, like if you don't understand that concept, you're like, what is this? So I think it's not about like watching Interstellar a bunch of times to get it. Is like you actually have to like go into the weeds of like some pretty advanced stuff for it to like completely make sense to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like nonlinear time is not like a easy concept to grasp, but this movie does make it super accessible. Like I feel like we're all like pretty intelligent, but Interstellar is definitely on another level, and this is like kind of spoon feeding you this like somewhat complex concept.
Yeah.
So it's good. All right, awesome. Should we get to Brian's email?
Please.
Yeah,
Robbie, please. While you do that, I'm
sure.
gonna open the window.
Don't time travel out of here.
The window's already open.
These guys gonna come back. We're gonna be 60 years old. Um, this email comes from friend of the program, multiple emailer of the program, brother-in-law of the program, and I definitely think Denny Villeneuve's #1 fan. I think Brian picked him as his director in his email draft, his movie draft that he sent over to us. So Brian's been badgering me months to get a Denny Villeneuve movie up on here. So
I tried to find a different outfit so I could come back and be like, I was at a different time, but no dice.
you should have brought your son, put your son up there, and had him start talking.
Then I'd have to wake him up, and then I would just jump out a
That's
window.
true. That's true. Brian titles his email "Arrival." Brian goes on to say, "I'm rushing to get this email in because I know you are recording tonight. I apologize for any typos and bad grammar. I'm so glad you guys finally caved and did a Denis Villeneuve week. I've loved every movie of his that I watched. I had a hard time voting because the three choices are all great movies, but ultimately voted for Arrival. Blade Runner 2049 is another favorite of mine, but it's a sequel, so I get why that was hard to include. Incendies is one of his earlier films and also really good, but probably less accessible than the three in the vote because of the subtitles and lack of star power. I still need to watch Dune 2, but I'm sure it's solid. I guess you could call Arrival a sci-fi movie, but it's so much more than that with all of its important themes. The first time I watched this movie was before I had kids and I thought it was great. The second time was after my first daughter was born, and it hit so much harder, especially the opening scene. One of the questions the movie asks at the end also hit a lot different on the rewatch. And this movie should definitely be rewatched with the knowledge of what is happening. Everything she does and every decision she makes is with knowledge of what's going to happen. Anyway, the question at the end basically asked if you would change anything in your life if you were able to see your entire life from start to finish before actually living it. Would you still have a child if you knew that child would get sick and die after 12 years? And a side note, would you tell the other parent as a warning and rob them of that joy they would get from the years with the child? Um, Amy Adams' character experiences life differently once she learns the alien's language, and time is now non-linear for her. So the way I interpret it is her daughter basically exists in her mind and life forever. She is experiencing moments with her daughter at all times. It was probably an easier decision for her to have her child knowing what would happen because she got to experience that love not only for the 12 years her daughter was with her, but for as long as Amy Adams lives, or Amy Adams' character. I think she also lost her husband because of her decision, but she was willing to do that too. This movie had plenty of other themes and storylines that I'm sure you guys will discuss, but what I mentioned above was what hit the hardest for me and had the biggest impact on me. I thought this movie was really well done. Movies that deal with time and the manipulation of time can be convoluted, but I thought this was done in a logical and original way. Like all Villeneuve movies, the cinematography and score were great, and like his other films, Arrival is thought-provoking and always had some good tension built up. I give Arrival a 9.1 out of 10, and I hope you guys eventually get around to some of his other movies. Well, Brian, thank you again for a fantastic email and just a well-written email, and love your thoughtful commentary and always voting and always being a friend of the program and always writing in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. I think that's such a great point that he brings up too, talking about how it is such a different choice for her because she does get to live that those moments, I guess, whenever she wants. Um, but yeah, I'm sure we're going to talk about the decision and how that goes. I don't know if we're going to do it now or not, but great points
Uh,
by Brian.
yeah,
You want to just,
go ahead, Robbie.
no, I'm just real quick. He did have the two questions there, so I don't know if you want to just go over it now and kind of play along with it, but it's up to you
Yeah,
guys.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think we should. I don't know if they'll come up, but they won't necessarily come up with some of our segments. I think we should definitely talk about it now. Does anyone want to start with their
All right,
thoughts?
so I'll just read the question again. The first question was, would you still have a child if you knew that child would get sick and die after 12 years?
Oof. I don't know.
I don't know.
If I guess if you, I don't know, because you're putting your partner in such a weird situation. I guess it's a lot easier of a decision to make with the point that Brian made, but how do you bring that up to your significant other? Do you like? Uh, it's crazy. Ultimately, I guess yes, and that's the answer that the movie kind of want to leads you towards is you see all those good times and the memories that she has and she cherishes. Um, but man, losing a child, no matter if you live forever or not, or you live at all times at once, is I can only imagine it's got to be insane. So I
Yeah.
guess ultimately, if I was in her situation, I would say yes.
Yeah. I guess I agree. Like, yeah, knowing that time for me is nonlinear and I can experience my, son or daughter at all times. But then think about this, like you're also experiencing that pain at all times and watching your child die and like then it's also like you're bringing this person into the world for them to suffer. Like I mean, they didn't go too deep into it, but it looked like she had a
Yeah.
terrible disease, so she suffered. So it's like it's a selfish choice. It's you're definitely choosing it because you want to experience that love. And like you said, Benny, your partner, like that's pretty. I mean, if you're let's say you're Jeremy Renner's character, Ian, I get why he left. Like he may
Yeah.
still love Amy Adams' character, but like I don't know, man. That's a really tough question. Robbie, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if you. I mean, I base it off me. I don't know if you can love that person anymore after
Right.
knowing that they knew that we're bringing a child into this world who's going to die at an early age. It's like the cliche, it's better to have love than to like never love, but then you're dealing with two parts, right? You're dealing with, well,
Happy birthday.
thank you. 22. Yeah, like that was
What is
weird.
that?
Well, I mean, we didn't really need the balloons for it.
This is why you got to be. This is why you're following the YouTube. If you're not following the YouTube, you just missed what just happened. So
exactly. So
shameless plug.
so hey, with the balloons popping in the air now, it's ruining the atmosphere. Hopefully, the aliens don't get caught up in it. I think you're just dealing with two things, right? Do you want to live your life without the experience of having children and what that joy brings and that tremendous annoyance brings probably too as well, but the overall joy and what you get to experience day in and day out. But do you also want to deal with that grief? That grief's not going to go away. You know, that grief's going to be with you until you die. And like this person's on earth for such a short period of time, you know what's going to happen. Like Ryan said, I didn't even think about like her knowing that her daughter was going to suffer from a
Yeah.
terrible disease. So it's tough, and it's a very selfish decision on her part because she's bringing this child into the world knowing what's going to happen, and she knows that she's going to potentially ruin the relationship between her and Jeremy Renner's character, and never going to be able to get that love or that relationship back after what happened. So it's tough. Like I don't. The only reason why I would want to bring the child into the world is to experience that joy and that love for that short period of time. But all the damage that's going to cause from that point forward until I'm dead, I don't know if I'd want to risk that. I think I'd rather just from even personal experience, I think I would rather not go through that pain. I'd rather just put it somewhere else and just live my life knowing like, hey, all right, I can't have a kid, but I don't got to deal with this kid dying and dealing with that grief for the rest of my life because it would never go away. And it would be devastating to live like that on a day-to-day basis, especially
Yeah.
knowing especially if I knew what was going to happen. So it's a tough question, but yeah, that's a difficult one for me to answer.
Yeah. And do you guys mind if I bring up something from the story it's based on?
Sure.
I didn't read it. I read this on the internet. That so their child didn't die from a disease from getting ill. They died from like a mountain climbing accident or a climbing accident, which makes it like so much darker that she still like went through with this and then like what's dark about it is that she allows her kid to go on this trip or whatever it is. So like even the story makes it even darker and more of like would I do that? And then the other point I wanted to make is like, okay, so here's kind of a paradox. If time is nonlinear and you could see all things at once, but then you decide to not have that kid in that moment, do you then also lose that knowledge or that memory of like what could have been? Or if you
Well, that
if you like, you know what, I'm gonna wait and then it's a different kid because it's not, it's not gonna be the same exact kid. Like I don't know.
well, that's what I was gonna bring up after you mentioned that is like, I guess you're also succumbing to the fact that fate exists and there's nothing that you could do to change it at that point. Because if you could see all these things from the beginning of your life to the end of your life, it's all already happened. So there's
Right.
no way to change it really.
Yeah,
Like
how can you?
even though
Or
you
can
have
you?
the, yeah, I don't know. And that's like, that's kind of another layer of the question that you're left at the end of the movie is, you know, because she's having flashbacks of the child in the movie where technically she doesn't know yet that she has the sight to see everything that's already happened, quote unquote, in her life. But since it's time is a flat circle, she technically already knows that. So yeah, I think you're kind of locked into fate at that point.
I guess. I don't know. Wow. That's I don't know. I don't know if I could choose that. That's tough.
Or would you choose, I don't know, to know everything that, I don't know if we talked, to know everything that happens in your life?
Even that, man, that's like, yes, I want it because I mean, it's like superpowers. That's amazing. But at the same time, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
rough.
because if it was a shitty life, I'd just be like, all right, well, we're good. Yeah, like we don't need, like, don't bring me into this world. Leave me alone, please. Keep me somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I
the
don't know.
anxiety the anxiety and the hypochondria in me says yes, so at least I know how I go. But it's probably not for the best if you know exactly how everything plays out.
Right. Like, I think it'd be cool, but it also probably would drive you nuts. And like, because you can't commiserate with anyone else about it, like that would probably also be, an extremely lonely existence. Like to be able to do this, but then like be the only one. I don't know.
And you're also left with like almost like a nihilistic view
Right.
where like nothing, and that's where like you can really spiral with that, because like you know nothing matters, but at the same time do all these things play out the same way because that's your mental
Right. Like
attitude.
everything matters.
Yeah.
At the same time, nothing matters. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's wild. Like if you sit like, and that this is why like I kind of changed my score, is like the more you sit with these questions, you're just, you know, I guess aptly going around in circles. Like with every time you think you have something figured out or a new way to look at it, you're left with kind of more questions.
And it's a great movie to sit down with like a friend or a significant other, or we're doing like after it's done. Because you can
Yeah.
go on like a 2 hour just sitting down, and all of a sudden like 2 hours pass and you've ran through 20 different, scenarios in your head of what you would and wouldn't do. And that's what I loved about this movie, and any movie that makes you kind of think like that. I mean, there's so many things you can talk about and discuss, and lead you to one answer, and then he comes back like, you know what, maybe not, and leads you to another answer. And hearing somebody else's point of view leads you to
Yeah.
maybe another answer or something that you were questioning. So, I mean, the only way I would do that and see what happens in my life, just let me know what the 49ers do, so you don't got to stress me out. That's really it. That's the only reason why I would do it. Like, I don't need to watch all these Super Bowls and get my heart broken. At least I know, like, all right, 5 years from now, we just won our third Super Bowl. I'll be all right with the losses.
Yeah. Yeah. You know which ones you got to tune in for.
Yeah, exactly. I don't got to watch the losses in the Super Bowl. I just know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
I really don't need to watch this Jets 49ers game week 5.
Yeah, I don't have to watch his Mets doubleheader with Scherzer pitching that, or having a couple of brewskis outside in
Yeah.
Brooklyn.
but good point, and kind of you had mentioned it already, Robbie, is like these are my favorite movies and TV shows are the ones that like I'm like sitting watching this and I'm like, I cannot wait to look at the internet. I cannot wait to look at the internet. Like that's my favorite shit. Like, and that's why a show like Game of Thrones was so captivating early on, because it was just like the second it was over, it was like, get me on Reddit right now,
Yeah.
god damn it.
It's
Yeah,
funny
it's not
because
like,
like, go ahead, Rob.
no, quickly, and like even doing that, some of these people that make these points or make these kind of assumptions of what's going to happen next, or oh, this and that, and then you got it in your head thinking that, and when it doesn't happen, you're like, fuck that, that
Damn it.
stinks. I wanted that to happen.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's funny that like you guys both ran to the internet, and I'm like the same way usually, but this was one that I didn't, because I feel like I was spinning in my head so much that I wasn't even thinking of getting somebody else's input on this, because it just leaves you with these questions that are like unanswerable.
Yeah. I think maybe because we both saw it, this was the second time we saw it, so we kind of maybe had a better grasp on like our own thoughts, although mine were definitely different, similar to Brian, in that when I saw it in 2013, and then now, like I have kids now, so my like outlook on it and how I felt emotionally while watching this was definitely different than, whatever, 11 years ago.
I wonder because Gene was such a big fan of Interstellar. I wonder what Gene's thoughts are on this one.
Yeah, agreed. Gene, if you're listening, let us know.
Yeah,
Please.
anybody, if you're listening, if you want to answer those two questions,
Yeah,
send us an email. We'll talk about
please. Because time is non-linear for me, I predict we get 2 emails next week.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Did Brian have a second question, or did we already kind of like go into that?
I think it was kind of, we already went into it. Let me see. It was, no, basically it was like, would you tell the other parent as a warning and rob
Right.
them of the joy that would get from the years with the child?
I think you have to. I think you have to bring it up because even if you, but again, then you're stuck with the loop of like it's gonna happen no matter what.
Right.
But also like you either tell him and he knows and he doesn't want to do it, but he does it anyway, or it happens and you're like, well, you knew this was gonna happen, so why did you let it? It's effed up to think about, to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you let him know, then you can go through that grief together and have each other in those difficult times. I think, but that also would be dependent on that person accepting it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if he's not well, in this case, Jeremy Renner's character, so I'll say if he's not accepting it, then it's different. But if he accepts the fate and it's like, all right, we get 12 years out of it, and then we can go on and grieve together and rely on each other for the remainder of our lives, and that would be okay. But to not say anything, that does really chat my ass.
Yeah.
That does hurt, but it's a slippery slope. But I think you have to tell that person and make he or she come to grips with that choice on their own and not surprise them.
But then, like, I could also, I'm sitting here thinking through it again, and like, is it your responsibility to tell everybody in your life or the world like what's going to happen? I mean, I know this is it's a little bit more personal, obviously a lot more personal, this situation, but like, it's almost like that superhero burden of like, is it your responsibility to then take care of every single person at all
Right.
times?
Yeah. Like, do you know all world events like before they're happening? I mean, in a linear sense, like, do you tell people like there's going to be an attack, or like this is going to happen, like don't go there, like, but you brought it up before, you might be reserved to fate is predetermined, so you kind of can't start changing things, or I don't know.
Yeah. Oof.
It's a mind
lot.
F.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I mean, thanks for the awesome email, Brian.
Thought provoking.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Throw a score up on the 9-1 if you can, cause on the
Yeah.
IG post when you put it on there
Yeah. Well,
for him being a Denny Villeneuve stan. I think
will do.
he's a Denny Villeneuve stalker, so be careful.
Well, hopefully the next Danny V movie we do, he hops on with us.
Well, it's who knows if the roof's leaking or the dishwasher needs to be needs to be empty. We'll see. We've been trying to get the guy on both podcasts for about 4 years now, so we'll
Oh
see.
boy. Maybe he's just shy.
Yeah.
All right. Should we do some segments?
Yeah.
All right. Let's start with characters, because I feel like there's not a ton to choose from, and then we can, kind of talk more about the scene. So, does anyone want to start first with favorite character?
I think I've gone first on a couple, so I'll leave it up to you guys.
Robbie, your call.
Yeah, all right, whatever. I'll go first. This is easy. I'm gonna go Dr. Louise Banks, Amy Adams. I mean, it's easy. She carries this movie. She's absolutely fantastic in this movie. Um, her grief is, portrayed so, I don't even want to use the word eloquently, but so good in this movie. I just everything about her facial expressions, the way she goes through pain, the way she goes through sadness, the way she, you know, not even happiness, but when she's able to decipher these languages, things like that. The first contact with the aliens and things like that. Everything about it. I don't know. There's just something about her character. She's great. I don't. Did anybody even pick her for like supporting or favorite
No, she got
character?
snubbed.
I
No.
forgot. I was pissed off too. I didn't take her. Um, so no, I mean, what can you say? There's like a handful of characters in this movie, and she's the movie. She carries the movie. I don't even know if she got nominated for this movie, but I think she should have. But she was fantastic in this movie, and
Snubbed at
I
the
really can't
Oscars.
snubbed.
Snubbed.
Sick and tired of them snubbing white women at the Oscars. Um, But no, she was great. She made this movie for me. I loved her in this movie. I don't know if she gets a lot of hate from, a lot of people, but she's a fantastic actress.
Yeah.
And she was awesome in this movie. And everything about her, the acting, the non-speaking parts of what that she did, everything about it was great. And I really enjoyed it. I couldn't really see anybody else portraying her. Thank God it wasn't Anne Hathaway. I would have blew this house up.
She was busy with Gravity. I
Oh,
think
thank
too,
God.
like this is one of those things where you like where the first again, what I was saying earlier, where I was like, what's going on with her? And again, once you get the twist and you realize that she's kind of playing everything so like I said before, nihilistic, where she's just kind of like floating through life, where she's always in this state of I'm grieving my child, but I also know that it was all inevitable. And like I feel like if you go back and watch this movie again, you understand the choices that she made to play this character throughout the whole movie. So yeah, well done.
Yeah. Agree. She gets hate. I didn't realize people hate her.
Maybe I listen to too many Bill Simmons podcasts, and I think the rewatchables, and he throws a lot of shade her way. So it was just him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she's good in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, she's good in was she in American Hustle? She was in Vice. She's good in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I enjoy her all the time.
Yeah, good for her. Um, all right, I'll go. I'm gonna pick. Mm, I guess I'll go Ian. I'll go Jeremy Renner. And I think Benny, you brought this up. Like, I'm typically not a big Jeremy Renner fan, and I don't know why. I don't have a specific reason why I don't like him. Um, but I just kind of don't. I don't know. But he was good in this. I liked him in it. He was a good like partner to Louise. Um, you know, like all the stuff he was doing. I mean, he was definitely put in a tough situation once you figure out everything that happened, and I totally get his leaving and everything. But yeah, I liked him a lot in this film. He was good. He was not annoying to me like he normally is.
Yeah, I was gonna say based on the fact that he not that he changed my mind on him, but I went into it with negative emotions with him being in the movie to being like, okay, he was actually pretty good in this one. That
Yeah.
that alone was gonna be my pick. But I'm gonna go a little abstract, and I'm gonna say Abbott and Costello are my two
Fuck yeah.
favorite characters.
Nice.
I I enjoyed um the way that the aliens are portrayed. I enjoyed that it wasn't like the humanoid type alien. I enjoyed the whole language aspect and their writing system. I thought that was a cool everything felt authentic. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be like I'm Joe Scientist, but one of the things I know Neil deGrasse Tyson always gets on sci-fi movies and aliens is like most likely you're not you can't fathom the way an alien is going to look. So like the fact that they kind of look like octopuses is probably not, feasible, but I'm going to put all that aside and say it's a movie. They did a good job with it and it was original and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I was gonna pick them, and then I was like, nah, you know what? I'll do a human character, and I'll do them in my Ani Menches.
No way, not getting past me.
Nope, nope. But hey, Abbott saved them. He
Yeah.
knew what was gonna happen, and so think about this. He knew he was gonna die in that moment, and instead shared the entire language with her and saved them from the bomb.
Yeah.
I mean, good for him. Or
Yeah.
her, or them, or whatever an alien is.
They then.
Yeah.
They slash them. Yeah.
Any other Ani Mentions from anybody?
I'll give you an Ani Mensch, but it's on behalf of Aya. And she said Michael Stuhlbarg.
Ah,
Stuhlbarg. I'll let you take it, but that was her Ani Mensch. That was her person that she gave kudos to after the movie ended. So go ahead,
I
take it,
love.
Rob.
No. I'm just gonna say I love him. I loved him in Boardwalk Empire. I loved him
Yeah,
in
the best.
Your Honor. He's the best. He was gonna be. He was in the running for my. I think I even gave him an Ani Mensch in my draft. I love him. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, she just mentioned that he's one of those guys that when you when you see him in a movie, you're like, oh, this is going to be a good movie, and you're getting a good performance out of him. He played the role so well in this movie as just that mysterious CIA agent that has like more knowledge than everybody else, and you don't understand what we're doing here. But yeah, no, shout out to him.
Yeah.
No, he's fantastic. I love him. I forgot he's in this. He was in a movie like he was kind of the lead that was pretty good. I forgot the name of it. A couple of years ago. I thought maybe the Coen brothers wrote it, or was it Coen
Serious
brothers
Man.
film? Yeah, he was the lead character, right?
Yes.
Well, I hate the Coen brothers, so that's forget about it. But other than that, but he's the best. I love him. He's so good,
Yeah. You brought up Boardwalk. He was so good as Arnold Ross.
so good, so good.
Just like quietly menacing. Like I love that.
Yeah, and that show with Cranston it was okay on Showtime, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
But him playing like the mafia type character boss, he's not even like you don't even think he's a menacing guy, but he's such a great actor that everything about I don't know, there's something about him that I really love, and I love seeing him in movies unexpectedly because he's so good.
Agree. Any other Ani Mentions for favorites?
I mean, you got to give it to the Academy Award winner Forrest Whitaker, even though his accent annoyed the crap out of me. I guess that's really all I have to say about that. I don't know. I was on the fence with him annoying the shit out of me and liking his character. It was a thin line between love and hate with me and Forrest in this movie. So I know Benny's probably gonna hit him with the least favorite, so I'm not gonna say anything else.
So moving on, least favorite character.
So
Benny.
my least favorite character was Forrest Whitaker. And no, I agree. He was actually good in the movie, but like the accent just threw me off so much. And I was like, what?
Is it Boston? It's supposed to be Boston?
I don't know, because when he first came in, this is what I was going to say in the beginning. When he first came in, I was like, is that like an English accent from Forrest Whitaker? Like, what are we doing here? And then when he started talking more, I was like, is he trying to do a Boston accent? Like, and what do I get out of that accent? There's nothing that tied him to Boston. There was nothing that like I get it, man. You're an actor. You made a choice. It just was not a good choice.
Didn't make sense.
No. And again, I will agree with you, Robbie. He was good in the movie. He was, that foil, but also I'm kind of on your side, but also I have people to report to, and he did well. But based on don't make me think about things that you're doing. Make me like I want to enjoy the performance. Don't make me think about like what accent you're doing and why you're doing it. So for that reason, and just because there's not a lot of people in this movie, I'll go with Forrest Whitaker. That was my least favorite.
It
No
made me
disrespect.
no shout out. It made me question like, do I gotta put the fucking subtitles on? Because there was times when he said some stuff, I'm like, what did he just say?
I know. I just
Like
let it go.
I don't know if that's his real voice or it was like a made up Boston accent. Like I don't know. I
He's
couldn't
from
understand.
Texas.
I was like, I gotta throw the titles on here for my main man Forrest.
Speaking of that, I don't want to get into too long because I know we're already going long here, but did you guys have the subtitles on? Ryan, I know you usually watch with. Did you get when the guy spoke in Chinese, did it translate for you or no?
It doesn't tell you what it is, but I know what he
Yeah.
said. You mean what Amy Adams says to him?
Yeah, the last words of
Yes.
the wife or whatever. You don't get it?
You don't get it with subtitles, but I know what was said because I looked it up and the screenwriter said what was said.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll look that up after.
Yeah. Now, yeah, and real quick, wrapping up Forrest Whitaker, I was like, is he like English and I didn't know it, and he's just doing a bad American accent? Like I didn't
Yeah.
get it, but I do normally really enjoy him, and he was good in this film, other than the fact that he said a couple of words really strangely. Um, and my least favorite character was that I think it's Colonel Marks, the one who put the bomb in there because he was watching some fake
Rush
ass
Limbaugh.
Rush Limbaugh shit.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Oh God, please rest in hell.
Yeah. No,
That was like
don't rest at all.
that was like the thing that, man, it drives you crazy. Like now when you see the parallels to like you know so little and your opinions are so strong, and the reason that you make complex issues with such simple answers because you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and that part of the movie just drove me crazy because it's very true. Like that's exactly what would happen, but it frustrates me to no end.
It sucks because now, and it's funny because we're doing a podcast asking for views and stuff like that, but like the strongest takes often get the most likes or
Engagement.
or engagement or whatever. So like 100% if aliens landed today, people would be talking some real bullshit about it
Yeah.
just to get people talking, and then those people may then do something stupid. Sucks.
Because it doesn't matter if if you believe it or not, if it's going to get people going. I honestly, the more negative reactions you have to your takes, the more it's going to cause people to fight over the comments. Like if everybody's just like, "Hey, great, I love your thoughts," like that's where it ends. But you could start fights in the comments. You
Is
could
that
get
why we don't
people.
get comments? Because everyone loves our takes.
I think so. I
I
think
think
someone
so.
said best takes 2024. We're on the short list.
Yeah, like why did Joe Biden open the borders to the aliens? Like things like that. People freaking out about that, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is he soft on aliens? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he an alien?
I mean, probably.
Please.
I'm gonna edit that just so it's us criticizing Biden's alien takes,
Yeah.
Nice.
his alien policies, and if we're questioning if he's an alien or not, that's gonna be our reel this week if I do one.
Nice.
Nice views. Views on views. Fox News, here we come.
Robbie, you got anyone for least favorite?
Yeah, give me fake Dr. Fauci just pushing medicine on everybody. Yeah, I
I
mean,
give you a booster.
yeah. Hey, you want on the vaccine? Yeah, take the vaccine. Fine. 6 feet, just stand 10 feet away from the Abbott and Costello. You'll be all right. Yeah, give me that guy. I mean, enough with the meds. We get it. It's a little uncertainty, but we don't need boosters every 5 seconds. Leave us alone. Hey, my body, my choice.
Right.
So fake Dr. Fauci, least favorite character.
Any honorable mentions?
I don't really have any.
Yeah.
There's so few people in this movie.
Yeah. And everyone was good. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the Sudan for jumping to conclusions. Chill
Maybe.
out, relax,
Maybe.
take it easy.
The whole
How
nation.
long? I mean, we're assuming that this is like weeks and months that this is going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I did. Go ahead, Robbie.
I was gonna go off topic because I did give it an 8.8, but and I don't want to run along with it, but just tell me quickly, how did they know that they was Okay. How did they know that they were going to open the pod every 16 hours? And then had they know to go that high and then gravity stops and they're able to walk?
Right.
There was a couple plots that really chapped the old buns, but I said, hey, it's a movie, time, they know. So I let it go.
Yeah.
I think because maybe they were there for a couple of days. I mean, it's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff that you knew in a short period of time. Because again, you're just gonna trust that you can walk sideways up the thing. Like, who told them that? I get that point.
And I
Yeah.
think, and they were all collaborating. So like one of them would be like, well, I was able to kind of like jump in a little bit. I didn't go any further. And someone else would be like, well, I went further. And like, then they finally figured out. But yeah, I think when they arrive and Amy Adams has to cancel class and go home, I think we're assuming that that's like maybe like a week that she's just laying in bed, like doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Dream.
So
The
they
dream.
probably did something. But I was going to bring up that I kind of liked that they didn't like take too long to like explain things like that, sort of. Not necessarily that what Robbie brought up specifically, but like it was like almost like montage-esque, but not a montage, like, you know, figuring out language and stuff. Like it was very quick. Like it was like 18 hours, bang, next 18 hours, bang, next 18 hours.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a lot of filler, which I
Downtime in
like.
between.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, let's see what they're doing now. Oh, they're still figuring stuff out. They're looking on computers and whatever. So that's good.
Well, that too, I was thinking, like, with the whole romance-ish storyline, you don't necessarily need to build it that much, right? Because, like, again, it's one of those predetermined things where, like, okay, it makes sense. Because it's all, it's all happened, quote unquote, already and stuff like that. So yeah, they didn't waste a lot of time
Yeah.
on things that not necessarily mattered or explain
Right.
themselves, kind of.
And plus, if like aliens came down and someone was like trying to get dates while they're trying to figure out the language, you're like, Jeremy Renner, but keep it in your
Relax.
pants, trying to
Yeah.
save civilization.
Yeah. Chill
Yeah.
out. Go masturbate in one of those black holes.
Yeah. All right. Let's do favorite scenes. Does anyone want to start with that?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, so it's actually I was having trouble with this one because I think my favorite scene is like I don't want to, but I don't want to steal so much, but it's like the moments with her daughter, but that's like sprinkled in throughout the whole movie. Um, but I love those parts. So I think I'm gonna pick that. I don't think I'm like really like taking away necessarily from like an actual scene, but those are my favorite parts. And then once at the end when you realize what's been going on, you're like, oh, like that. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
it's very it's very sweet, but at the same time so melancholy and so sad because you're just like what we said before and Brian's question, like, could you even do that? My goodness.
Towards the end of the movie, when the flashbacks started happening more and more and more, I'm like, okay, we get it. And then you get the reveal, you're like, oh, all right.
Oh, I do
Okay.
get it.
Yeah, I do get it.
Got
I
it.
didn't get it. Now I get it.
Take that back. You
Gotcha.
got it. Credit card, you got it. Me? You want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't want to steal yours.
It's a lot of great scenes, a lot of great emotional scenes. But I'm gonna go the first contact with the aliens. I love the tension of that scene, the unexpectedness of what's to come. You don't know if they're gonna be violent, you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't I was thinking like, then it's gonna be 2 hours and then the big reveal is gonna come. They're gonna show you what these aliens look like, or they're not even gonna show you at all. And right off the bat, they show you. Um, I thought it was so cool. I forgot it that I'm like, this fucking lift is gonna go 3 billion feet up into the sky,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is so stupid. And then it stops, and then the gravity stops, and they fly up a little bit. I'm like, this is sick. And then they start walking. Then they get the reveal. I really enjoyed that because there was so much tension. Where you like again, you don't need true violence or true action. to get that tension. And that's what I love when you don't need that kind of stuff. And that's what really, kind of caught me in the beginning to kind of hook me into this movie. Again, just that kind of tension. And I love that build up, and I love, what was to come. And they didn't spend a lot of time on it. They, like you said, they cut in and out of these kind of scenes and things like that. And I really enjoyed that. Obviously, moonwalking like Jackson, and then the score was great in this scene. It was my favorite. There's a lot of good ones, but this is one of my favorites.
For me, I'm gonna go with the reveal, the plot twist, whatever you want to call it. That final flashback shot that she has, and then she kind of realizes everything. Just so well done, and it's so it was done so perfectly to just drop that piece of information at that exact point of the movie, and everything made sense going backwards, and everything made sense going forwards, and you just felt like like, oh man, like there's so many different layers to this, and it just makes so much sense. So perfect timing on the reveal, and they built up enough where you had all these questions going through the movie. Why are they spending so much time on this? What really is going on? And they just dropped it in at the perfect time. So anytime you get a really good reveal like that, or a really good plot twist, I mean, there's nothing better. There's nothing better in movies like that.
Especially when they do it so well, like you said. I mean, there's a ton of plot twists I feel like that are just fall flat, but when they do it so well, it hits so good.
Yeah. Any honorable mentions for favorite scenes?
um, I think I really do think the bomb detonating scene was great. I mean, not the detonate, well, the bomb scene was good because yeah, it was a little tragedy, but it showed you that, what these aliens are truly about. They weren't really here to cause any type of damage. They were here to kind of quote unquote save humanity or make humanity better. I really enjoyed that. Plus the sound editing was great with the banging on it, and then, the language, the communication with it, and then, hitting the screen or the glass, and then, having them shoot back down that little rabbit hole type thing. I just really enjoyed that entire scene. Again, it had everything. Great acting, great sound editing, everything. I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. I'll throw in, like, I mean, you kind of already said it, like you know, oh no, I'm thinking of something else. But like not when they first make contact, but when they first arrive, and like everyone's kind of flipping out, like people are leaving class, getting phone calls, like you run into someone in their car, like, why is that other person stopping? Just keep going.
Yeah.
There's aliens, just go.
Yeah.
Insurance don't care.
Yeah.
But like that stuff, and then it was, like what Amy Adams did. We'd probably all be doing that, just sitting in our homes, like, what the hell are we gonna do? Just watch the news. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to 2020.
Yeah,
It felt like.
yeah. Everyone's wiping their packages down and their food.
My honorable mention is kind of a double, and it's kind of jumping on Robbie's point, but it's the tension that builds up when they're going up the first time, but also the tension when all the countries are stopping sharing information. I don't even know how you make that sentence work, but and they're about to all start firing when nothing that humans have is going to affect that ship. But they just did such a good job of bringing it right up to that point of like they're going to mess this up, and then obviously we get the reveal. But I think they did a really good job building tension in this movie.
Yeah. And she tells them there are no winners in war, only
Yep.
widows. That's what she told them.
That was the quote.
Yep.
Love that. That was going to be part of the Ani Mensch too, or part of my favorite scene is the way, again, I don't know if you call that part of the plot reveal or the plot twist or whatever, but that whole scene where she's figuring it all out and the way she solves it. And I love that like whole ball/gala that they're having,
Yeah.
and the conversation between the two of them. It was just so cool.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah, that was gonna be one of mine. Honey mentions. I love that scene. The tension that brought, and like the reveal as well. and it wasn't even like the big reveal, but it was done great. Slow moving.
Yeah.
I guess he kind of understands too, like how it all works, because I love that whole like, oh, you called me on my personal line, and she's like, well, I don't have your number, and he's like, yeah, no, you do, and he shows it. That was so well done.
Who remembers the phone number anymore? Come on, that's
No,
unbelievable.
I know like 5 people's phone numbers. I think that's it.
I barely know my wife's phone number.
I,
Barely.
I think I know my wife's,
Yeah.
but I should have learned it a lot earlier than I did.
Um, one last non mention for me is not really a scene per se, but a line, and it's Jeremy Renner's line of talking about her book, and he says, and I have it here: language is the foundation of civilization. It is the glue that holds people together. It is the first weapon drawn in a conflict, and that like when you watch it a second time, you're like, or even thinking about it after you see the reveal, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
that was some foreshadowing there. I mean,
yeah,
even just think about like the first weapon drawn, they're drawing their language, like it's very well done.
yeah. Not necessarily an Ani mention, but again, I'll mention again. I loved all the science and in the movie. Like I thought it was really well done,
Course.
and I'll include in like the language and all that kind of stuff. It was just very original.
Yeah, strong agree. Mommy and daddy talk to animals, all that
Yeah,
stuff. Just so good. I'm constantly awed, and not awed, in awe of people and their intelligence and their abilities to come up with things like this. And like, I'm lucky if I can make a sandwich properly. It's wild, like that.
I
There's
know,
people on this earth that could come up with things like this.
I know. From nothing.
Uh, any other Ani mentions?
Not for me, no.
All right. Um, I don't know if we're gonna have answers, but we do it every week. Is there anything you guys could think of to make this movie better?
Are we skipping
Least,
least favorites?
Oh, geez. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
Time is
Uh,
non-linear for me,
you're
I
so I'm
know,
just
you're
all over the place.
Ryan already watched us give our least
I
favorites.
already watched it.
My
Least
least,
favorite.
I'll please don't show me a child with a disease like that ever again. I don't that come on,
yeah.
especially 3 minutes into the movie. I was like, don't do this to me, please. I can't watch this.
Brutal.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously, but I'll just go with something I thought was a tad corny. I don't know if it was the dream sequence. I just didn't like the way that was kind of filmed when she's talking to the alien. I don't know. It just looked weird. It did annoy me. I was like, this is corny. Get this out of here. Give me my 5 minutes back.
Was
But that
that
was really,
the scene when she was like floating?
yeah.
It
I
looked
was like,
like
that's a little corns.
almost like the CGI looked bad or something. It was weird looking.
Yeah, it was
I think
definitely weird. I was like, get me out of
I
here.
think it was trying to like show her hair with zero gravity, which is never gonna, I think, look great.
No, I mean, yeah, that was a little too corny for me. What the hell do I know? I
Yeah.
can't even come up with a script. I'm gonna make fun of these people, but yeah, I didn't really enjoy that. I could have done without that. If I'm grasping for straws, yeah. If Benny's gonna take the devastating scene that happened 16 seconds into the movie, so I think that's everybody's pick.
Yeah. That was my pick. My second pick was your pick, Robbie. So I'll just go, I don't know, the
Forrest
five
Whitaker's accent.
second. Yeah. Every time Forrest Whitaker said something weird. I'll just go with the 5 seconds of the fake ass Rush Limbaugh scene that I had to endure while watching an enjoyable movie.
Perfect.
Done. All right. Now should we do it?
Let's do it.
All right. Yeah, anything you guys can think of to make this film better?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. I mean, the only question, again, but this can go on my side podcast, is what were humans going to save them from?
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. Like
In
what's
3,000
happening in
years.
3,000 years.
Yeah, I would like to know that. And hey, good for us for sticking around for another 3,000.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
I mean, I'm saying over under like 30-ish.
Yeah, 100 on the high end.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have much either, to be honest. I know it's like kind of weird because we're all in the eights, so there's clearly like movies we like more, so you would think we'd have more answers for this, but I really don't.
Yeah.
It's pretty perfect the way it is. Like it's not too long. There's not a lot of filler. It's not anyone, we picked least favorite characters, but there's nobody that's like god awful in this. So
Yeah, I mean, especially for coming out in 2013. I mean, you'd think there'd be.
Yeah.
I would make this,
Please.
how I make this better is release it in 2016. I think it would be better than 2013.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah. I love it.
All right. Well, you know what? I do know of a way to make this film better, and that's by playing our favorite game, Working Overtime, where we cast Matt Damon in a role we make up or a role that exists for no reason other than we love Matt Damon. So, does anyone want to? Well, Benny, do you want to go first, or should I go first?
I'll go first.
Please.
I won't. We're running long on time here, so I'll go quick. Give me Matt Damon as the president of the United States, and
Oh,
give me
nice.
a rollicking speech at some point in this movie. I don't want to inject him anywhere else. I mean, I guess I'll leave it to you guys if you want to replace somebody, but I would like a nice Bill Paxton-esque speech in the middle of this movie to calm everybody down. Look at his beautiful hair. Look at his beautiful eyes. Maybe pops his shirt off. I don't know, but he
Rip it
brings the
off.
country to yeah, he brings the country together. Maybe he's giving the speech at the UN, who knows. So give me Matt Damon as the president of the United States.
I'm just imagining him giving the speech and like ripping his shirt off, like, "Come at us, aliens! We will not go quietly into the night." Um, my recasting is gonna completely change this film for no reason other than I just think it's funny. Give me a double casting of Matt Damon and his good pal Ben Affleck as Abbott and Costello.
Ooh.
Because how funny would it be at the end? They take off these big heptapod costumes and it's these two morons.
Totally
Hey,
got
my
you
we've been
God.
guys.
fooling around this whole time. My boy's wicked smart.
He just made a spaceship and fooled all of you.
Yeah. I got it for 35 cents in late fees down at the library. Robbie, what do you got?
Well, first of all, fuck Ben Affleck. I would have gave us only a 4.2 if that was the reveal.
I know.
Give me a tiny, beautiful looking CGI implanted Matt Damon. Give me Matt Damon as the bird. Just imagine a Matt Damon face on a little tiny bird, and he's the one. He's the bird that's communicating with the aliens. He figures it out. Not Amy Adams, not Forrest. I think I'm from Boston, but I'm not really from Boston. Whitaker. Give me Matt Damon as little Tweety Bird, and he's able to solve. Just imagine Matt Damon, beautiful hair, tiny little face, fantastic feathers, big puffy bird chest, just communicating back and forth, packing the wood, packing the glass, and just communicating with the aliens. I mean, talk about a 10, talk about a 40. That's the score I'm giving if Matt Damon. So give me Matt Damon as the bird, communicating, saving the world, one
10
tweet
out
at
of
a
10.
time. One tweet at a time.
Can I give my first ever Ani Mensch in this position?
Yes.
Please.
Ani Mensch off-screen role, Matt Damon as Forrest Whitaker's accent coach.
Nice.
Oh my God, please. Please.
He
Yeah.
would have done he must have done a poor job. Not work.
Bring him in. They flew him in.
Yeah. Pay him anything he wants. This accent is terrible.
You get me, Matt Damon. You get me him now.
Nice. Anything else that needs to be said about Arrival.
I might be a Villeneuve fan. Let's see.
Should be. It's Brian's right. He's very good.
Very good.
So, man, maybe I don't know, couple weeks, couple months, whatever we feel like, we'll do another one of these. Denis Villeneuve.
Anyway,
One last thing before we go. If you've made it this
Please.
far, obviously subscribe to the YouTube. But House of Dragon is starting soon, and this podcast started with our desire to talk about House of the Dragon. So let us know, if you're still listening, if you would like us to talk about it again, and maybe how frequently. I don't think we're going to do every week recaps of the show, but maybe once a month or something like that. So if you're sticking around to the end of this and you have any ideas on House of the Dragon, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, agree. Or should we do like dedicate 10 minutes for each episode, or do a whole season recap or whatever? I was thinking maybe we do something for the Bear too.
oh,
Maybe
Where's
like
the Bear? Love it.
a whole season recap or something. I don't know.
It's remember when House of the Dragon ended? We were like, "It's never gonna get here.
Right.
We gotta wait 2024. Are you kidding me?"
It's crazy that we have been doing it this long.
Yeah.
Wild.
Crazy.
Yeah, let us know. Because I would love to, if I could be on a recording every single day, I would, but I can't. So, but I'd love to do something. I agree. We should do something. All right. Well, thank you again for your support. We appreciate it. Send us an email. Let us know what you thought about this episode or any of the other ones we've done. We love you. Robbie, tell them good night.
Good night to 2013, Ryan. If you're listening, we start 2 podcasts in the 2020s.
Down in my
Successful.
lungs.
Fantastic.
When I hear a sound, I rap at the door and my young son Gabriel walks in. My wife said, "No, Gabriel, leave." I said, "No, let the boy watch. Let the boy watch. He needs to learn the way I learned from my father, the way he learned."